Scott, MPP Bobbi Ann Brady. It's the December, boy, 2025. Hey, don't forget to send me a Christmas card. I'm hearing good things.
You'll get one, Dave.
All right, good. Glad to hear it.
Busy.
How's
Yeah.
life? What's going on?
Well, just trying to recuperate from, a few weeks of driving back and forth to Toronto. Just came back from Chicago from the Council of State Governments National Convention, which was great. Trying to finish signing all my Christmas cards. So anyone out there who typically gets a card and you haven't got it yet, it's
It's
coming. I
coming.
promise you.
It's okay. I'm just teasing you. I know you're busy. I'm not worried about it at all. It's been an interesting year, 2025, hasn't it?
In all aspects, yes, it's been quite the year. You could write a book about 2025.
Speaking of which, what do you got
Oh,
there?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Finally, I think I've talked about this before
Yeah.
on the podcast, No I in Team. My good friend Alex Marland, author and Acadia University professor, his No I in Team. So this is the book that he waited to finish. He waited to see what the election results were going to be in February here in Haldeman, Norfolk, before he finished this book. So there are references to Haldeman, Norfolk and Bobbi Ann Brady and No I in Team, and this really talks about um, how political parties in Canada manage their members and how they are stripped of their, unique identities. And I'm going to relate that back to you asked about the Christmas card, and I'm sure everyone who may be listening to this right now will know that former Norfolk County Mayor Dennis Trevally made a big deal about my Christmas card. And he says that it is suggestive, and at no time did myself nor my photographer, Daryl Granger, and everyone knows Daryl. He's made headlines himself in 2025. At no point did we ever think that this was suggestive. I mean, the idea came from uh, a Moms and Tots pajama ad.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, like, if, Dennis Trevally sees something suggestive in this, then I question where his mind is. And one of the things I've been interviewed by CFRB, I've been interviewed by a lot of big media over the past few weeks with respect to my Christmas card. So thank you, Dennis Trevally, for boosting my profile. And I have about 1,000 new followers because of Dennis Trevally. So thank you very much. But one of the things that I say is that political parties are really good at stripping their members of their unique personalities. And it's one of the things that they do not talk about when they come to you and say, "Hey, Dave, you'd make a fantastic candidate." They don't tell you that if you actually get to the other side and you win, what that's going to look like. We're going to make Dave look less dynamic. You're going to just be boring. You're going to repeat the messages. You know what? I don't have a party that's going to strip me of my fun side. And Dennis Trevally is not going to strip me of my fun side either. So I say, you know what? You find something wrong with my card, that's on you. There was no intention of that, but it was intended to be fun and cheeky. And I'm holding a mug that says "Naughty Nice I Tried," which is political. And that was the focus. And Daryl Daryl Granger and I were just
I had some fun with it.
absolutely floored when Dennis came out with
Yeah.
this.
Well, and to each their own, right? I mean, we don't get to control what other people think or say, but at the same
No.
time, too, you're making your intent clear, which I think, thanks for doing this on the podcast. I
Yeah.
do appreciate that. On the book side, though, I'm kind of curious. So, does he break it down so that you're just seeing that this party concept doesn't work? What's his goal, if you don't mind me asking?
So yeah, I think he's showing how parties have become like these very tightly controlled organizations that, at one point in time in our Canadian democracy, you could go out there and you could talk about things in your riding very freely, and you can't do that anymore, right? Um If I was a government member at this point in time, do you think I'd ever be able to stand up and ask about the Caledonia Bridge? Not a chance, right? But years ago, you could. You could kind of do that friendly fire question across saying, hey, like, where do we stand? Doesn't happen anymore. So Alex was also on a podcast recently, and I can't remember the podcast. A constituent sent it to me and said, hey, I don't know if you've seen this. And he said that, he talked about the Bobbi Ann Brady being an independent in Ontario twice over, and he said every legislature needs just a few independents, and that would help create that balance in our Canadian democracy. So he talks a lot about that in this book. So I'm going to be anyone coming to my New Year's levy. If you received an invite, I will be doing a draw for the books at the levy.
I think too that we kind of missed the point. Like we've gotten so far removed from, we you and I off air were talking about this that you're representing me. I want you to hear my opinion and I want that opinion shared as a group.
Mhm.
When we all agree on one thing, if the government's telling us something else, but you're our representative, it's your job to represent us first.
And
That's
that's
where
not
I think the
happening.
breakdown is.
That's exactly it, and I'm going to point to very local. All politics is local. I say that all the time at Queen's Park. Um, Last night at Haldeman County Council, the question on the referendum, whether or not a referendum on the MZO was going to be put on the ballot in October 2026, and, that's actually what there was one gentleman, Dave Chevrier, who got up and spoke, and that's what he said. He says, "We are busy people. We don't have time to come to council all the time, but we as constituents have opinions, and when we tell our elected officials what our opinions are, that should matter, right? They don't go to the table. I shouldn't go to Queen's Park with my own opinion. I could have my own opinion, but my job is to represent the masses of what the majority want. And that is not happening in Canadian politics right now. I just want to read on the back of No Iron Team. It says, quote, "No Iron Team pulls back the curtain on one of the most hidden dimensions of Canadian politics, party loyalty. It is essential reading for anyone seeking to understand how Canadian politics really works and how it can be improved beyond the headlines and behind closed caucus doors."
Yeah, it becomes too, I think at that point when you're so tightly wound into the party, it kind of takes on its own discourse where it's follow the money again. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it seems to grow bigger and then loses its value towards the local constituents that that person's supposed to be representing.
That's right. This one is well worded too. No Iron Team takes on a serious problem of Canadian democracy, the suffocating hyper loyalty of Canadian legislatures to their parties. And I think the word suffocating is bang on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just curious to get your thoughts on this because we've seen it a lot of transitions lately in the federal politics where conservatives were leaving the party to go to the liberal side. Do you think that has anything to do with them being more open to do what their constituents have to do, or is this just something else in your opinion?
I think it's something else. I think
Okay.
it's all about deals. I think it's part of the erosion of democracy. I mean, you have folks who just, elected somebody and then they cross the floor. I would love to talk to some of those constituents in those ridings and say, like, hey, look, you know what? Do you think this was the right thing to do? Right? Like, you
Yeah.
just voted for this person
The one
in
the
this
one I watched
party.
recently, they were saying my constituents were telling me to leave the party because this is not what they believe. And I thought, "Okay, that's interesting. I'd like to
Yeah.
see that a little more, open
Right.
so I could understand it better," but I do think there's
And
a combination of things there for sure.
it could be. I mean, it very
Yeah,
well could be. I mean, we know that at election times, a lot of people vote according to the party, but there's also a cadre of people who vote for the person.
right,
And
exactly.
so we could be that those could be situations where they voted for the person but didn't love the party, and then once they got back in said, "Hey, look, you know what? We really like you, but we don't like your party."
It almost seems like they like the party, but they don't like the leadership is what I'm
Yeah.
reading into that
Yes,
in
yeah,
some
that's very
cases.
true.
So
Yeah.
I think there's that end of it where you're hoping that those MPs are doing these decisions based on what their constituents are telling them. I really would honestly like to see that. And I think this book goes a long way probably to proving that out, that you need to listen.
I've
to
been
your
talking about the
constituents?
erosion of democracy since, since before I got elected in 2022, and nothing has changed. In fact, things are getting worse. I see it every single day. Like, look, we only sat 51 days this year, and I know that there was an election in
What?
there, but the whole
Excuse me,
reason
what? 51 days, that's it?
51 days, 51
Holy
days.
sugar
Yeah,
plums.
and we don't go back again until the end of March. Like, that is late. Yeah, we usually go back in February right after Family Day.
Why? Why are we why that bugs me. Like, you wanna talk about, breaking down these, conservation authorities from 36 to 7, and, yeah, I can't you guys are not getting back to work till then? And I'm not blaming you by any means, but I'm just saying the average everyday person has to go to work Monday to Friday, Doug.
Yeah, mind you, we are, like, I am going to work every day. I just
I know
want
you are, but I
disclaimer
mean,
to
I want
everyone
you
out
guys
there.
to be voting on the issues at hand.
Right.
Like,
So
if somebody's heating bill's astronomical, it ain't gonna help them at the end of March.
no, and what we see, like, this fall session was fast and furious, and you just
Yeah,
get to the point where, like, as a legislator, you're just like, "Holy smokes, like, the bills just being rammed through, you can't keep up." Right? And that's very purposeful. They wanna get them through, they time allocate things, everything is rammed through very quickly, and it's all very purposeful so that they're not standing there trying to defend their record day in and day out. Like, look at how much time was spent on the skills development fund in this session, like, almost every day. So that's fine. It should be held to account. The skill development fund, is a scandal, in my opinion. The majority of people don't understand it, though. They don't understand what's going on because it's kind of, more inside baseball. But it is a scandal. But when we talk about that every single day, guess what? All the other important issues that people have are not being talked about.
yeah. Yeah, and I know off air we were talking a little bit about I wanted to ask you about the conservation authorities and the
Mhm.
36 to 7 and it came out on Halloween, October 31st, like, when you were just saying how things are getting rammed through, and I'm a conservation guy, I love being outdoors, I love the water, I love everything about that, and we have such a beautiful areas in Ontario, and this one really bothers me a little bit just from a perspective that, they're trying to change it all, they're gonna make it 7. Well, these were originally based on how the watershed went, not about municipal boundaries. Like, that to me is a critical part of it. The thinking has to be not about what we create, about what is natural, what's happening here, and how we're gonna protect those, flood zones and all this. And I know that you're doing your research on it. I've seen that, your buddy Mike from the Green Party has been
Mhm.
talking about it, and
Mhm.
it's kind of one of those things where I don't think people understand because of all the stuff, like you just said, gets pushed through. They're not recognizing what the potential danger is to all this,
Yeah,
and the government's selling it as, "Hey, we're gonna shrink this and make it better." I have problems with this because I do think it goes like school boards and everything else that they've changed, where you need to have that infrastructure of locals in place to protect it, people that believe in the area and what's going on. I don't wanna leave that up to somebody in Toronto to decide our fate.
no, it's and then it's more of what I've been talking about the past few years, centralized decision making, right? It's all about centralized decision making. With respect to conservation authorities, though, I'm kind of disappointed that there was, like, people, they knew that there was something coming down the pipe, and once legislation is passed, it's passed. And we need to start, like, as an electorate, going out and speaking out against these things before the bill is passed. We need to pay attention. And it was it was the fall economic statement, it was jammed in there. And I did not hear from anyone until after the legislation passed. So now our greatest hope is to have all those meetings. We're trying to get in at Roma in January. We need to now do our utmost to protect things like Bacchus Mill, our local watershed. Like, we need to protect all the work that has happened in this area for years and years. We need to protect our programming. Um, so that's what we need to focus on. We're not going to reverse this decision, right? And
Have a referendum.
yeah, yeah,
Like, it's just I find it very frustrating, and you're right, because and we don't know what they were promised. I think when I think about Haldeman and the land there, the possible city, like there was so much misinformation beforehand that people didn't understand. And I think this is probably the same case with the Conservation Authority information that people just aren't aware. Like
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but the average everyday guy, you brought this up earlier, is busy. And then all of a
we're
sudden
busy.
you turn your back and this is changing and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this
It's
is not going to be helpful.
I wanna call something out. You said, like, the MZO and the Empire Homes proposal for Nanticoke. There's a cadre of people, maybe 5 of them in Haldeman County, who believe that, this is a good idea, that, bringing 40,000 people to the Nanticoke Industrial Park is a good idea, and let's just be honest here, like, they sit there, a former journalist, maybe she's still a journalist, I don't know. I don't talk to her, but goes online continually and says fear-mongering and misinformation on the at the end of the day, the majority of people don't care what information is out there on what Empire is going to do. They just know they don't want 40,000 people out there. So this whole idea of fear-mongering and misinformation on the MZO is them trying to convince the electorate that they know better for them. 5 or 6 people in Haldeman County. And I'm so disappointed that 4 councillors last night did not agree to put that on the ballot in 2026. Because I've said to folks right online, they say, oh, there's people who agree with it. Okay, then start a petition and give me the numbers of the people who actually agree with this. Or do a referendum and show me that there are people in agreement with this, because I can count maybe 10 people, and they're always the same ones causing trouble and blocking me from certain groups on Haldeman County Facebook sites. So, um, the people are busy. They don't have time to get down to like the nuts and bolts of things. However, with respect to the MZO, they just know that we don't have the infrastructure to handle an influx of people, let alone 40,000. We don't have the infrastructure to handle 10 or 15,000.
Just think of Townsend, and
Yep,
you can't build those things. They gotta happen naturally.
that's right.
I
Yep,
just think it's and I think that's the other part where you're just like, "Oh my goodness," right? And they're just trying to cut all the red tape, something they're claiming to do, obviously, with the, Conservation Authority as well. This is one of the government plans is then, "Well, we can cut more red tape for you because of the overlap with the boundaries," and I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea because those authorities talk to each other. They probably understand better than you what's going to happen downstream, right? And I think this is where I get a little concerned. I agree, less red tape for sure, but at the same time, the people that know this stuff, let them do their jobs. That's what we pay them for, to protect us. So why are
and,
we
and,
doing this? And the same with
and
Haldeman. Just do the referendum already. Just
that's right.
do it. It
Yep.
doesn't make any sense not to.
No, I don't know what those 4 counselors have to lose. That's the question. Well, you've gone down this road of supporting the MZO, even though people are yelling and screaming. They don't. What do you have to lose by actually
Yeah,
putting it on the ballot? Like
let's
that
see
is
where the
the
people
that
think.
is the $1 million question. What do they have to lose? Like there's no rationale. Like and
Nothing.
the electorate has to wait until October to actually hold them to account.
We were supposed to do a positive show. Remember today we're going to talk about
I know, I
Christmas
know,
and
I
all
know.
our,
Sorry,
you
I even
know,
wore green,
I wore
and I
green, yes, and
and I
I'm
and I
kind
put
of
my hair in a ponytail.
um and let's finish this up with some positive stuff too, actually. That's one thing I do enjoy this time of year when I see people out and about shopping, trying to support local businesses. That's critical, folks. Make sure you do that. You're out
Yeah,
doing all the parade circuit. I know that, and you're busy.
I finished my last one Sunday morning in Turkey Point.
There you go. So there it is. Christmas is it's
Oh,
official.
and being positive, I wanna thank everyone, because I hit up pretty much every parade. I missed Hagersville Friday night because I was sitting in an airport on my way back from Chicago, and there was Delhi and Dunville were at the same time. I did Delhi last year, so I did Dunville, this year. So if they're on the same night next year, I will be back to Delhi. But I do want to thank everyone who lined the streets, and my gosh, the crowds were so amazing. The people who, thank me for the work that I do, that always touches my heart. For people to think to thank me for the job that they're paying me to do is really, really nice. And the people who yelled out, "Hey, Bobby Ann, we love your Christmas card, never change." Thank you so very much.
And it's good that you it's nice to hear those things, right? It's always at the end of the year, you kinda have that time to reflect. When you said the election was this year, I went, "The election was this year?" I had to look back, right?
Right?
You're
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
there's so much stuff that comes down the pipe in a year, and I wanna thank you for doing the podcast as well. I know I bug you every month trying to get you to do this, but I do appreciate you taking the time.
And I'm always
I think
late.
it's just important to have the conversation. Like, people look at it when they see our podcast and I get feedback and it's always like, "Well, ask her this, ask her that." And I do, and you're open to it. You don't dodge it. If you don't know, you don't know, and you tell me what you're thinking. And I
Might
think
not like
that's
my
important.
answer, but I'll give you an answer.
Yeah, yeah, and I think and I'm gonna reiterate this because I think it's one of the things that we've talked about off air many times. You and I have different opinions on so many different things, but we're friends and we always have a conversation. We have a dialogue because we find that's the most important thing to try and solve problems. We need more people to do that in 2026. That's my Christmas wish right there.
Mhm. Yeah, people could find it fun if they actually tried it.
That's right. Here's a concept.
Yeah. Like, look,
uh,
we love poking at each other, and it's fun.
it's
So,
but I mean, you're trying to educate each other too. You're
yeah,
trying
you
to
learn.
understand where your thoughts are. What's your
Yeah, so
message
that
to
that was
Harlem and
one of
Norfolk?
that was one of the things when I was in Chicago last week at CSG is one of there were a lot of sessions built upon civility in politics, and there's a big push for that, right? And so the conversations were very good. Like, why has the opponent become the enemy? When we play a hockey game, oftentimes once the buzzer, goes after the third period, you're no longer trying to, put each other through the boards. There's the shaking of the hands. I've watched kids talk to other kids on the other team after a game. That's how politics should be. But, even this whole thing with my Christmas card, that is because some guy doesn't like my politics. And he hasn't liked my politics for a long, long time. And he can't be civil about it. He's got to go out there and continually try to stir up trouble and spew hate. And that doesn't have to be in the political realm, and that's what a lot of the conversation was centered around in Chicago. I've got lots of notes. I will be writing about it in January, so I won't give away much at this point, but I will be writing about that civility aspect. And we all have to take stock. We all have to take a look at what we do, how we conduct ourselves, and we have to do better.
Exactly. And just, say hi to your neighbor. Just be friendly,
Right.
folks. That's all there is to it. It's that
Yeah.
simple, and get along. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah. Can I say Merry Christmas to everyone?
You bet.
Yeah, I just wish everyone a great Christmas holiday, and I wish you much peace, hope, health, happiness for 2026. And just this Christmas, focus on the little things, sitting around the table, having those meaningful conversations, laughing. I know my brother will continue to spew out his lines from Christmas Vacation, and they become funnier and funnier every year. Just enjoy those tidbits. For me, it's a new Christmas, or it's a different kind of Christmas. Both kids are coming home. Carter's coming home from school in Ohio. Addison lives on her own now, so it's different. It's a coming home Christmas, and I look forward to it. But just cherish those small things because life is short sometimes.